Wendy, thanks very much for talking to us from your
My pleasure.
secret location somewhere in France.
Yeah.
The first thing I wanted to talk to you about is yesterday. I was meant to interview you and I messed up. But one of the reasons I messed up was because I was doing some stuff for my daughter. She's 17. She's going to be 18 next week.
Oh wow.
And she's off to university in a few weeks' time.
Which one?
Exeter.
Oh, good.
Yeah, she's off to Exeter to study drama, which is nice. But it made me think a little bit about you. And I don't know the exact age you were, but you were pretty young. Were you a similar age when you were signed?
Well, yes. At the same time that she would be going off to university, I was doing Transvision Vamp.
Wow.
Which it really started when I was 17.
Yeah. So she's 17 now, yeah.
And I even finished off my A-levels during writing the demo for Transvision Vamp. and then literally those A-levels completed, and we went to London and barged our way into Manchester Square, which was where the old EMI building was.
Okay.
And demanded to see Dave Ambrose, the man who'd signed the Pistols. That we see him, and I think we looked so ridiculous with Spike. Anyway, we had quite outlandish clothes on, myself and Nick Christian Sayer. That the receptionist ushered us in to meet Dave Ambrose, and he then thought we were freaky and committed enough that he gave us some studio time in the demo studio basement of Manchester Square to flesh out the demo tape we'd made. And it was upon that he decided he wanted to sign us. And then there's a twist in it, because obviously we were there with EMI, but Dave Ambrose had been offered the managing directorship of MCA Universal. So he took us there as his first, big ticket signing.
Wow. And
the rest happened relatively quickly. We made the album Pop Art, and by track 3, I Want Your Love, we're at number 5 in the charts, and tons of people queuing twice or 3 deep round Wardour Street to see us play in the Marquee.
Do you remember? I mean, that's quite a cheeky way to get signed, isn't it? By the way, which I like.
I mean, we just walked in and told you we are going to be the biggest band in the world.
but everybody could do that, couldn't they?
How can they disprove that? I mean, it's pretty. Well, maybe we were destined for it.
Yeah. Well done. Great way of getting signed. Do you remember the excitement? Or did you take it for granted, of course, we're going to get signed because all that great, or was it really fantastic? When it started happening for you?
It would have been unthinkable that it wouldn't happen.
Wow. Okay.
When you are that young and armed with that much conviction, which we were. You don't even allow for the possibility that it might go wrong or it might not happen. I mean, it's not even a thing, is it? You just go in there and you get what you want.
So my daughter, as I say, she's off to do a drama degree, right? But she's also got a lovely singing voice, by the way. But if she was thinking about going into music, I wonder what your advice would be for her, particularly these days, I guess.
In the context of what? Once she's famous, or how to make
it? As a career choice, I suppose.
It has to come down to whether it gives you pleasure and satisfaction and pride in your work. I would think that's a rule of thumb for most choices, right? And very, very unfortunate if you find yourself in a workplace that you're not getting joy out of.
Yeah.
But the money and the fame and all of that stuff, it's down to the individual to be able to handle that.
Yeah.
But I would say the rule of thumb to stay in the music business or to join the music business is if you want to bring music into the world, right?
Yes, I get that.
Because long after our lives are finished, what you leave behind will be your legacy.
Yeah.
Or not. And so you need to, any pursuit, it needs to be your raison d'etre, I think. And because it is competitive out there, it's the people who are, I mean, when I was a teenager, like any band you can think of that became super famous, you are driven day and night. It's all, you're not, everyone says party like a rock star, and of course, you know, you lead quite wild lives, but it's not the partying that is your ambition, ultimate ambition. The partying may be there, but your ambition is to get in the studio or get on the road.
Yeah, yeah.
And so it's only those who are really, really committed. I mean, I guess fluky accidents can happen and people get famous for no good reason particularly. But the real bands that break through and then have a lasting impact on culture, it's because when they were kids, that's all they wanted to do.
Yeah.
And they'll do it, you know, you'll write your own, you know, you'll do your own artwork, you'll print your own t-shirts, you'll put out your own, you'll deliver your own flyers. In the old days, you would even bring your records to record stores and ask them to take a couple on sale and return. You know, that's how Elvis Presley and the guys did it back in those days. Is you'd be driving around the Midwest with a trunk full of records.
Yeah.
And so it's, you know, the fittest survive, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just interested in particular. I actually watched your interview on Newsnight the other week when we were talking about Amy Winehouse, and you know, it made me think about a few things. I was thinking about, you know, particularly kind of women and the music industry. I just wonder, you know, it's got, you know, it's got a pretty dodgy past, hasn't it, in terms of misogyny, etc., from males over the years, and you know,
well, I don't think that
kind of attitude.
I don't think that's come to an end in any way, has it?
No, I would just wonder how you see it now. Do you think it's changed for the better or not, really?
Incrementally, of course. All life for women has got tiny, tiny bits better. You know, what can I say? The media is still in Bailey, go away. The media is still entirely sexist.
Yeah.
You know, Wikipedia is sexist. You know that Wikipedia prints women's ages, it doesn't print men's ages.
Okay.
Which is an interesting thing.
Wow. Didn't know that.
Well, I don't know if Mick Jagger's got his birthday up there now, but in all the years that I was in Transvision Vamp, it would be Wendy James born on this day and this date. And you go and look at Mick Jagger or Eric Clapton, and their birthdays aren't in there. So that's an aging thing. That's an aging thing against women. And also your marital status and whether or not you have children. Well, A, what's it got to do with you? And B, how does that impact a woman and not a man?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, just in basic daily life, women are not equal yet. I don't think they even get equal pay yet, do they? There are probably statutes on the book that demand that companies be accountable and give their female employees equal pay, but I don't think they are. You know, it's usually still 70% equitable with men.
Yeah. Actually, yesterday I was listening to Women's Hour, and there was I don't know if you ever listened to Women's Hour on Radio 4, but there was a really great debate about things which I as a bloke, I honestly hadn't even thought of, you know, but obviously it's a matter of perspective, isn't it? I mean, you must see, you must have seen a lot of over the years.
You know, I'm not 20 anymore.
Neither am I.
But I bet people aren't criticizing where you look.
No.
But for an aging female, either, you know, they're still commenting on your great pins, whatever I mean, that's just so annoyingly tabloid rubbish. Pins, what the fuck is a pin? You know, so they're still objectifying you, or else they're criticizing your weight gain or your weight loss, or so. Yeah, no.
I mean,
and then if you are a strong woman, then you're a bitch, or you're, you know, a man eater. You know, it's just all these pigeonholes are invented by men.
Yeah, I can't argue with that. Guilty as charged, you know.
I mean, I think it's, but well, I'm not blaming you, but it's not blame either. It's just an understanding of, you know, we didn't. How long did women have to wait to get the vote after men? Certainly in America, they'd done the civil rights. They'd awarded the vote to Black people in America sooner than they did to women. So it starts with white men, and, you know, gradually, And you say, has it improved? Well, of course, over the years, all civil rights, female rights, gay rights, all rights have improved incrementally, not in all countries. Hello, the Middle East. But in the West, it's got slightly better all the time. And with each generation, it does. The band I'm working with, their median age is 30. And they don't really care about gender. They certainly have no sexual stereotypes about how their girlfriends should behave or shouldn't behave. It just doesn't even enter their consciousness, and they're in their 30s. So if you ask a teenager who hasn't been brought up by crazy parents, a teenager isn't going to even recognize gender or sexuality or a ceiling on what they can or can't do. So of course it gets better.
Yeah. I mean, again, in the back of my mind, obviously my daughter, you know, because she's, you know, going into the arts, I guess she's always on my mind. I mean, the thing is with you is, in a way, you're a great example of breaking down some of that stuff, because, you know, you're a singer-songwriter, you're a producer, you know, you know, so you're kind of doing a lot of the stuff which probably people were, you know, over the years, going back to that kind of, you know, sexism thing, you know, you're doing a lot of stuff that you would think, you know, it's you
men,
take,
what say it, men would do.
yeah, do you know what I mean? So I mean, that's great, you know.
But I for me, it's always been a meritocracy in my life. I never believed I couldn't do it. Well, I mean, I don't think I can do javelin and shot put as well as.
Well, I probably be like great myself, you know.
But within my artistic talents, it never once occurred to me that I wouldn't be as good as a man or as capable as a man.
No.
I always believed, you know, I'm kind of better than most of them. So
yeah. Do you think you've almost had to be, you know, to break some of that stuff down?
No, it's a personal choice that after Transvision Vamp, which Transvision Vamp was produced by other people, and it's not just sexism and gender inequality. There's something to be said for a producer whose skill set that is.
Yeah.
If bands aren't always good at self-editing or hearing their music objectively, or even, you know, working their way through the quagmire of what it is to record a whole album, because it's just got so many levels to it, you know, so many different aspects that you have to concentrate on. That it's quite useful for most bands, I would think, to work with a producer who can guide them through and have overview.
I totally agree. Yeah.
But in my case, I felt I'm good at producing myself. I don't have any particular emotional attachment to, you know, it's not like I need to hear my voice louder all the time. I can make very critical judgments, and I know very well when I'm performing well and when I'm not, and I can do the same for the other musicians as well. And therefore, I think it's my job to bring out their very best, because the better they are, the better we are, but then the better I am. So, you know, you always want to be punching above your weight.
Yeah. Do you record it at your place now? Have you got like a home studio?
Oh, no. That's a choice as well. I don't want to. I like to go to work.
Okay.
I like to come home.
Yeah.
Because the bit after the studio ends is where you sit in the kitchen and you think through the day's events and you work out what it is you need to do tomorrow. And if the studio was in the house, then you'd think, okay, I'll just pop back in there and tinker around, and you'd never get objectivity.
Yeah, that's a good point.
For me, anyway. For me.
The point you make about the producers are really good. I mean, I've played in bands for years. I've never had any success. I went to record labels and they said no, you know. So, but anyway, I think about, you know, the bass player always wants the bass a bit louder. The drummer says it's going to give me more hi-hat and all that.
And they really do. Yeah. They really do. I mean, my drummer is amazing, but when we'll do some editing right there and then when the takes happen, and he'll allot himself 7 or 8 takes. Then sit with the engineer, do all of his edits, and then there's 5 minutes left for everyone else.
All right. Okay.
You have to, you know, musicians are brilliant. They're the most brilliant humans. But yeah, you have to guide. Not everyone's cut out to be a producer, and I'm sure all of my albums would have turned out differently if I had employed a producer. And I do always toy with the idea of what would it be like if Phil Spector just came in and said, okay, we're going to do this, and this. you'd
Yeah.
end up with something amazing, I'm sure. But it's such, apart from it being a business and my mode of work, it's such a passion now, my music, that I want to do every single part of it, because that's when I said legacy earlier, that's all I've got to leave behind. I just want to know that I love it for the rest of my life.